The first thing I noticed wasn't how beautiful she looked. It was how quickly she tried to disappear. She stood near the kitchen counter, half turned away from the room like she didn't quite belong in it. My mom's birthday party had filled the house with noise, laughter bouncing off the walls, music humming low beneath conversations, the clink of glasses rising and falling like a rhythm. But somehow she seemed wrapped in a quiet bubble of her own, like she was there physically but not really seen. I didn't even know her name at the time, just my mom's friend. And yet something about her pulled at me. Maybe it was the way she kept smoothing down her dress, like she was trying to convince herself she hadn't made a mistake by showing up, or the way she smiled politely when someone spoke to her, but never quite met their eyes. It was the kind of smile that looked practiced, like she'd learned it somewhere along the way to survive. I watched her longer than I meant to. "Go say hi," my mom whispered, nudging me lightly. "That's Claire. We used to work together years ago." Claire. The name felt soft, like it belonged to someone who deserved more warmth than she was letting herself feel. I hesitated for a second. I'm not the kind of person who just walks up to strangers and starts conversations, but something about the way she stood, there like she was shrinking into herself, made it feel wrong to ignore her. So I walked over. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "You're Claire, right?" "I'm Ethan." She looked startled, like I'd pulled her out of a distant thought. Then she nodded quickly. "Oh, hi, yes, Claire." Her voice was gentle, but there was a flicker of nervousness in it. "You must be her son. That obvious?" She smiled, just a little more genuinely this time. "You have her eyes." For a moment, we just stood there, the noise of the party filling the silence between us. I could tell she was about to retreat. Again, say something polite and excuse herself. Maybe head back to her quiet corner. And without really thinking, I said it. I just wanted to say, "You look really beautiful tonight." The words hung in the air, simple and unpolished. I didn't expect much. Maybe a quick thank you, maybe a polite smile. But what happened next? I wasn't ready for. Her expression changed instantly. Not in the way you'd expect. Not shy, not flattered. It was like something inside her cracked open. She blinked once, twice, and then her eyes filled with tears, so suddenly it caught me completely off guard. "I'm sorry," she whispered, turning slightly away as if to hide it. I panicked a little. "Hey, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "No," she interrupted gently, shaking her head. "It's not you?" She took a slow breath, pressing her lips together like she was trying to steady something fragile inside her. "You're actually the first person who said that to me in, I don't even know how long." I didn't know what to say. Because how could that be true? She was beautiful. Not in a flashy, attention-grabbing way, but in the kind of quiet, effortless way that felt real. The kind that didn't demand to be seen, but deserved to be. "That doesn't make sense," I said softly. She let out a small, almost humorless laugh. "It does when you've spent years being told the opposite." That hit harder than I expected. I leaned against the counter, giving her space, but staying close enough to show I wasn't going anywhere. "Who told you that?" I asked. She hesitated. For a second, I thought she might brush it off. But then something shifted in her expression, like she was tired of carrying it alone. "My ex-husband," she said quietly. At first, it was small things. Little comments. Jokes that didn't feel like jokes. "You'd look better if you lost a little weight." That dress doesn't really suit you. You used to be prettier. Her voice didn't shake, but it didn't need to. The weight of it was already there. And over time, she continued, you start to believe it. You stop seeing yourself the way you used to. You stop trying. The noise of the party felt distant now, like it belonged to another world. "I left him 2 years ago," she added. "But I guess some things don't leave you as easily." I swallowed hard. It's strange how a single sentence can reveal an entire, invisible battle someone's been fighting right in front of you. "You know," I said slowly, choosing my words carefully, "just because someone repeated a lie for a long time doesn't make it true." She looked at me then, really looked at me, like she was trying to decide whether to believe that. "I want to believe that," she admitted. "Then start small," I said. "Start with tonight," because I meant what I said. For a moment, she didn't respond. Then something changed again, but this time it was softer, warmer. "Thank you." she said, her voice barely above a whisper. You have no idea what that means to me. And for the first time since I'd seen her, her smile reached her eyes. The rest of the night unfolded differently after that. Claire didn't retreat back into the shadows. She stayed. She talked. She laughed, really laughed, at one of my uncle's terrible jokes. My mom noticed it too. I saw the quiet relief in her expression. At one point, Claire even joined a group conversation in the living room, her voice more confident, her posture a little straighter. It wasn't a dramatic transformation, not some sudden movie-like change. It was subtle, but it was real. And somehow that made it more powerful. As the party started to wind down, guests saying their goodbyes and gathering their things, I found myself by the door helping people out. Claire approached me, her coat draped over her arm. I'm glad I came tonight, she said. I'm glad you did too. She hesitated for a second, then reached into her bag and pulled out a small folded piece of paper. I almost didn't, she admitted. Actually, I wrote this earlier. Before I left my apartment. She handed it to me. Open it after I go, she said with a small smile. And then she stepped out into the cool night air. I waited until the door closed behind her before unfolding the paper. The handwriting was neat, but there was a slight tremble in it. I almost didn't come tonight. I stood in front of my mirror for 20 minutes, trying to convince myself I didn't look as bad as I felt. I changed outfits 3 times. I almost called your mom to cancel. Because somewhere along the way, I started believing I wasn't worth being seen. But I came anyway. And then you said something so simple, and somehow, it broke through years of doubt I didn't even realize I was still carrying. You didn't just compliment me. You reminded me of who I used to be before someone convinced me I wasn't enough. Thank you for that. You may forget this moment by tomorrow. But I won't. I read it twice. Then a 3rd time. And I realized something that stayed with me long after the night ended. Kindness doesn't always look like grand gestures. Sometimes it's just a few honest words, spoken at the right moment. Words that cost you nothing, but can mean everything to someone else. A few weeks later, my mom got a message. Claire had started a small support group for women who'd gone through similar experiences. Women learning how to see themselves again after years of being told they weren't enough. She said you inspired it, my mom told me, smiling. I shook my head. I didn't do anything, but deep down I knew that wasn't entirely true. Because sometimes doing nothing more than being kind is exactly what someone needs. And ever since that night, I've carried that lesson with me. You never really know what someone is fighting silently. You never know how close they are to giving up on themselves. So if you notice something good, something real, say it. Because the smallest moment of kindness can become the turning point in someone else's story.